Hello friends. So we will start now modern history recap video. In this we will quickly see very important facts. They are so important that they will help you to solve a number of questions. And modern history is very important barring CSE 2024. Modern history holds a very prominent position in history as a subject. In heydays it has inspired 10 to 11 questions, sometimes even 12 questions in past, and that's why it's very important. So in quick time we will see a lot of facts, and in quick time you will revise a lot of things which is impossible by yourself. So be with me and just start the video. Okay, so the first topic is the advent of Europeans. Europeans came because of what? Because of spices. They wanted to have a alternate trade route. Ottoman Empire, etc., was going on with a lot of things, and they were not allowing. And there were so many things, so many fuss which was happening. Okay, the Great Roman Empire was not at all there. So they all went to have a trade route, alternate trade route. Nobody discovered India. Okay, okay, you need to understand. So Portuguese named Vasco da Gama came to explore a new trade route, and in 1498 he established a direct sea route between Europe and India. Okay, and this moment opened doors to European colonialism, colonization. Colonialism is there, and the process is called as colonization. So many Europeans came and they established their colonies, okay, one after the other. And he arrived at Calicut, nowadays Kochi or Cochin. After that, other Europeans came, and the main reason was spice. Spice. Okay, you need to remember this. So, these are the prominent European settlements in India from 1498 to 1739. You can see all these names. I will put this document, just read it once. The years are also given. Okay, just cross check these years as well, because this map I have taken from Britannica. Yeah. But I will give you the important facts. We will read it now, but you can read it once. Now, why the Portuguese came to India? What was the reason? So in 15th century, there was a growing eagerness in Europe for adventurous sea voyages. They started it. Now, one Columbus went and discovered USA, America to be precise, and another Portuguese came here and discovered a new trade route. There was a division of non-Christian world. Okay, the Treaty of Tordesillas in 1494 divided the non-Christian world between Portuguese and Spanish. Okay, so granting Portugal the eastern territories of from Europe. This is a Europe. The eastern territories were granted to whom? Portugal, and the Spanish western. That's the reason that South America, if you will go, they were colonized. The most of the countries were colonized by Spain, and till now they speak Spanish. Yeah, Spanish is so popular in the South American continent, and Portuguese came here. Some of the important Portuguese governor you need to remember is that first the Vasco da Gama came, Calicut. Now you can say the Kozhikode. Okay, in 1498 had a significant impact on Indian history. The Hindu ruler of Calicut, the Zamorin used to rule. Zamorin used to rule. Welcomed him as the prosperity of his kingdom relied on trade. Trade was something which was very popular. See now the Arab Sagar, you go to, you see the map of India. If it's a, see here, you see it's like this is Arab Sagar. Okay, so here lies important ports. The ports are like important ports are Mangalore, Kochi. Kochi is also known as Queen of Arab Sagar. Queen of Arab Sagar or Arabian Ocean. Because from here a lot of trade used to happen. So Zamorin king was also dependent on trade. Okay. Portuguese aimed to monopolize the profitable eastern trade, and Vasco da Gama returned to India in 1501 but faced resistance from Zamorins initially. Other important governors which you need to remember is two names, Francisco de Almeida, okay, and Almeida again faced the opposition from Zamorin and a threat from Mamluk Sultan of Egypt. Initially, they were defeated in a naval battle of Diu, okay, initially, but they avenged the defeat the following year. Next year, they avenged it. Almeida was famous for having a vision to master the Indian Ocean through a blue water policy. Blue water policy was that they wanted to have a naval trade license through a Carter system, or a pass issued by the Portuguese Empire in the Indian Ocean during the 16th century. If you want to have a trade, you need to get a pass issued by Portuguese, having a virtual monopoly. This was started by Francisco de Almeida. Then Albuquerque came, Albuquerque, okay, and he was there from 1509 to 1515. Importantly, famous for acquiring Goa. Goa was acquired from the Sultan of Bijapur in 1510, becoming the first Indian territory under European control since Alexander the Great time. He also introduced the permit system, and a lot of Portuguese settled during his time period. And he abolished sati. This you need to. There were others also like Nino di Cunha. He moved the headquarters from Kochi into Goa. Kochi into Goa. Kochi means nowadays Kochi. Okay. And Portuguese secured the island of Bessin and its independence from Bahadur Shah of Gujarat, a very important ruler. UPSC is asked question as well. Okay. Bahadur Shah was later on killed by Portuguese as well, and then there was decline. There were multiple reasons, and one of the most important reason was that they were no, they were not tolerant about the religion, culture, etc. Lots of conversion, etc. happened. Okay, they were forcing it a lot, and then Marathas became important, and they snatched this Salicitan basin from Portuguese. But there was a lots of significance. The emergence of naval power, architecture they inspired, maritime techniques were introduced. Okay, and till now, lots of commodities were brought by Portuguese. Then came the Dutch. The Dutch company was established in 1602. Okay, and they established the trading center. The Dutch established their control over Masulipatanam in 1605, and they established their settlement at Pulicat in 1610. Okay, then were the English. They came and they ruled for a lots of time, and there was a reason because of it. For it, they ruled because they had able leadership. Company was private. There was no nepotism. They focused on prosperous Bengal. They were not focusing on only the ports of south of India. They were focusing on prosperous Bengal, which had everything. And it was easy to control the whole of India from prosperous Bengal. Okay. In 1599, a group of English merchants known as the Merchant Adventurers, they formed a company known as Eastern Trade, वही जिसे बाद में दे कॉल एज ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी. क्वीन ने चार्टर इशू किया था. क्वीन एलिजाबेथ वन इशूड अ चार्टर ऑन December 31, 1600, granting exclusive trading rights to the newly formed Governor and Company of Merchants of London trading into the East Indies. This is a complete name. Initially, they granted a monopoly of 15 years, and it was later extended indefinitely. Arrival at Jahangir's court. First, they arrived at Jahangir's court. In 1609, Captain Hawkins arrived at the court of Jahangir in an attempt to establish a factory at Surat, but it was unsuccessful due to Portuguese opposition. Then there was a beginning of trade. Initially, there was an unofficial presence or unofficial factory at Masulipatanam in 1611. The first official factory, if you will ask me, then it was established in Surat. Surat was the first official factory of Britishers. Okay, established in 1612. Okay, and officially the factory in Vasuli was established after this 1616. In 1612, Captain Thomas Best defeated the Portuguese in a sea battle of Surat, leading to Jahangir granting permission for an English factory in Surat in 1613. Somewhere it is in 1612, somewhere it has been written 1613, somewhere between this. Okay, 1612 or 1613, this was established. According to my information, it has to be 1612. You can see in this map also. Yeah, 1612. Okay, this is the year which I believe is the correct one. Then peace was established with the Portuguese, and an Anglo-Dutch compromise was allowed the English to trade without interference. डच से भी कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर लिया, तुम कहीं और फोकस करो, हम कहीं और फोकस करते हैं ना. डच दे वर मूविंग टुवर्ड्स इंडोनेशिया एक्सेट्रा. ये कॉम्प्रोमाइज हो गया. द गिफ्ट ऑफ बॉम्बे. बॉम्बे वाज गिफ्टेड टू किंग Charles II in 1662 and later given to the East India Company in 1668, becoming their headquarters in 1687. Okay, that's how the eight islands became Bombay, which is now known as Mumbai. And now islands are virtually like you cannot see that these are islands, and actually they have become one because of settlements. Initially there used to be ships etc which you had to take. Small islands are there. Then in Madras, the English also obtained trading privileges from the Sultan of Golconda and built a fortified factory at Madras in 1639, which became the headquarters of English settlements in South India. Okay. Then foothold in Bengal. First, though, they get permission to trade in 1651 from Shah Suja. This was the start. Then they got the permission to have a fortified settlements. Okay. This way they were moving. Then they established the settlement at Sutanuti. This Sutanuti, Govindpura, I think, and there was another village, I think Kalikata or something. 3 villages were there which became Calcutta. Okay. And Fort William was established. The Zamindari of Sutanuti, Govindpura and Kalikata in 1698. Yes, I was right. Then the advent of French. French came last. 1664 they established. And it was a government company, so there was a red tapeism. The reign of Louis the 14th, during that it was established. Okay, and they had a rivalry with the Dutch. The French company faced setbacks during war with Dutch and the outbreak of the War of Spanish Succession, which was happening, leading to abandonment of factories in Surat, Masulipatam and Bantam. Pondicherry was one of their most important port center. It was founded in 1674 and became the nerve center of French powers in India. And they had a very good relation with Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan. And then there were a succession of wars between the Hyder Ali and his son Tipu Sultan with the Britishers as well. They were defeated in Battle of Wandiwash in 1760 by Britishers, and then they were finished. The advent of Danish. So Danish East India Company was established in 1660 and 1620. Okay, and they founded a factory at Trankebar near Tanjore on the eastern coast of India. Trankebar और मॉडर्न तंजौर के पास है त्रानकेबार, वहाँ पे इन्होंने बनाया था. Principal settlement was Serampur near Calcutta. The Danish factories, which were not important at any time, were sold to British government in 1845. कुछ importance उनका खास था नहीं, and they were more focused to missionary activities. Reason for English success मैंने बता दिया था आपको. नाउ कम टू सम ऑफ द इम्पोर्टेंट ट्राइबल्स अपराइजिंग। फटाफट फटाफट देखो, है ना, टाइम उतना है नहीं। ट्राइबल रिवोल्ट्स देखो, जो इंपॉर्टेंट है वो मैं बता देता हूँ आपको। ये तो पूरी मैंने लिस्ट दे दी है, यू कैन रीड देम। ठीक है, द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट ट्राइबल रिवोल्ट विच यू नीड टू रिमेंबर इज 1855 का संथाल रिवोल्ट। याद कर लेना इसको, सिद्धो एंड कान्हो के द्वारा ऑर्गेनाइज्ड सारे ट्राइबल रिवोल्ट्स का एक सेंट्रल रीजन है। समझ लो इसको। ब्रिटिशर्स, फॉरेस्ट है, माना इसको कमोडिटी, सी सॉ दैट एज कमोडिटी, यहाँ से मैक्सिमाइजिंग रेवेन्यू। अब फॉरेस्ट वाज द प्लेस ऑफ ट्राइबल्स, उनके अपने कल्चर थे, प्रैक्टिसेस वर देयर, इट वाज हर्ट, द प्रैक्टिसेस एंड कल्चर्स वर हर्ट, मनी लेंडर्स वर इंट्रोड्यूस्ड जिनको दिक्कू बोलते थे, आउटसाइडर्स। इस वजह से देयर होल सिस्टम वाज डिस्टेबलाइज्ड एंड द सीरीज ऑफ रिवोल्ट्स व्हिच हैपेंड by the tribals, they were highly localized, they were not much of the forward looking, and the similar reason was there, more or less। यही क्रक्स है 1855 का इंडिगो रिवोल्ट, सिद्धो एंड कान्हो का। यू शुड रिमेंबर दिस इज द संथाल रिवोल्ट ना, राजमहल हिल्स में हुआ था। ठीक है, दिस इज़ वेरी 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 इंपॉर्टेंट ना, आपको याद रखना है। एंड इसके अलावा अनदर वन इज दी मुंडा रिवोल्ट। ठीक है, जिसको मुंडा रिवोल्ट को आप लोग नाम भी सुना होगा आपने, इसको बोलते थे उल गुलान। क्या बोलते थे? उल गुलान। ओके, एंड दिस वाज लेड बाय बिरसा मुंडा। बिरसा मुंडा एकदम लास्ट में ये हुआ है, मतलब ये जो बिरसा मुंडा एंड जो रिवोल्ट 1895 1900 बीच में ये चलता रहा है यहाँ पे ना, मुंडा के प्लेस ना, मुंडा जहाँ रहते थे ना छोटा नागपुर में, वहाँ डिस्टर्बेंस चलता ही रहा, चलता ही रहा। एंड ही वाज सीन एज समवन हु हैड ना गॉडली पावर्स। ओके, सो ये दोनों आपको याद रखना। उसके अलावा बस जस्ट सी द टेबल वंस। ओके, 1857 रिवोल्ट के इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्ट्स देख लेते हैं। देखो, शुरू कहाँ हुआ था? बैरकपुर में ना, मंगल पांडे। ठीक है, शॉट्स वर फायर्ड। द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट और ना द इमीडिएट रीजन वाज ना ग्रीस्ड कार्टरेज। कार्टरेज में माना जा रहा था कि देयर वाज पिग का भी मांस है एंड काऊ का भी, एंड यू हैव टू बाइट इट टू ओपन। रिलीजियस सेंटिमेंट्स हर्ट बोथ हिंदूज एंड मुस्लिम्स। स्पार्क हो गया। इससे पहले देयर वर लॉट्स ऑफ रीजन। द फर्स्ट रीजन विच यू कैन से इज डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ लैप्स। इफ यू डोंट हैव नेचुरल हेयर, यू आर अ किंग, एंड आपने अडॉप्ट किया, ब्रिटिशर्स यूज्ड टू कैप्चर इट। दे वर टेलिंग दैट अब हेयर है वो रहेगा कि नेचुरल हेयर, दे विल डिसाइडेड बाय ब्रिटिशर्स, दे विल गिव द परमिट, एंड दे वर्चुअली टुक दीज किंगडम्स। झांसी वाज वन ऑफ देम। एक तो ये था। सेकंड था देयर लैंड रेवेन्यू पॉलिसी। लैंड रेवेन्यू पॉलिसी वाज सो एग्रेसिव, दे जस्ट वांटेड मनी 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 मनी। ठीक है, एंड इसमें दे they exploited the farmers. Then Awadh was annexed. Awadh was annexed and lots of sepoys used to come from there. So ये सब था जिसकी वजह से 1857 रिवोल्ट हुआ। एंड देयर वर लीडर्स लाइक दिल्ली में बहादुर शाह जफर सेकंड और जनरल बख्त खान, हकीम अशनुल्ला। लखनऊ में बेगम हज़रत महल was मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट। कानपुर में नाना साहेब, राव साहेब। ठीक है, रानी लक्ष्मीबाई, झांसी। बिहार में द वीर कुंवर सिंह, अमर सिंह। इलाहाबाद एंड बनारस मौलवी लियाकत अली। फैज़ाबाद मौलवी अहमदुल्ला। ही डिक्लेयर द रिवोल्ट एज जिहाद अगेंस्ट इंग्लिश। मुरादाबाद में अब्दुल अली खान। बरेली में खान बहादुर खान। ग्वालियर और कानपुर में तात्या टोपे, बोथ प्लेसेस यू कैन से। असम में कंडप परेश्वर सिंह और मनीरामा दत्ता। ओडिशा सुरेंद्र शाही, उज्जवल शाही। कुल्लू राज प्रताप सिंह। राजस्थान जयदयाल सिंह एंड हरदयाल सिंह। गोरखपुर गजाधर सिंह। मथुरा सेवी सिंह, कदम सिंह। So they were the important leaders. You need to remember. Okay. थोड़े इंपॉर्टेंट गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट्स देख लेते हैं। रेगुलेटिंग एक्ट देख लो सबसे पहले 1773 में रेगुलेटिंग एक्ट आया था। रेगुलेटिंग मीन्स रेगुलेटिंग दी अफेयर्स ऑफ ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी। वॉरेन हेस्टिंग्स बिकेम गवर्नर। ठीक है, अब देखो रेगुलेट किसको करना है, ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी को करना है। इंट्रोड्यूस फर्स्ट टाइम सेंट्रल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, फर्स्ट टाइम ब्रिटिश गिवन राइट्स टू कंट्रोल ओवर इंडियन अफेयर्स, डायरेक्टली उनको मिल गया। गवर्नर ऑफ बंगाल टू गवर्नर जनरल ऑफ बंगाल, वॉरेन हेस्टिंग्स बन गए थे। बॉम्बे एंड मद्रास प्रेसिडेंसी बिकेम सबऑर्डिनेट टू बंगाल। एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन बाय गवर्नर जनरल एंड काउंसिल विद 4 members, वॉरेन हेस्टिंग्स थे। सुप्रीम कोर्ट टू बी established in Bengal, Calcutta 1774, 1 CJI and 3 other judges। ठीक है, फॉर्मली अगर बोला जाए तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट जो आज का बन रहा है उसको ज़्यादा सारी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट 1935 को देते हैं, बट ठीक है, कोर्ट एक तरह कोर्ट अगर सेंट्रलाइज देखोगे तो यहीं स्टेब्लिश हुआ था। प्रोहिबिटिंग सर्वेंट्स ऑफ ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी टू डू प्राइवेट ट्रेड, क्योंकि बहुत ज़्यादा लूट हुई थी। लूट वॉज डन बाय ना रॉबर्ट क्लाइव। क्योंकि होता यह है कि ब्लैक होल ट्रेजिडी होती है, ब्लैक होल ट्रेजिडी in a single room there were many soldiers of East India Company who were kept, they died। फाइट हो जाती है, बैटल ऑफ प्लासी 1757 से राजुद्दौला एंड ब्रिटिशर्स। ठीक है, यहाँ से इनको बंगाल का राइट मिल जाता है। रॉबर्ट क्ले बहुत लूट करते हैं। 1764 में फिर होता है ना जिसमें कि दिल्लीज किंग एंड ऑल ये भी मिल के बंगाल सब आते हैं, बैटल ऑफ बक्सर में फिर हार जाते हैं। ठीक है, दिस यू शुड रिमेंबर। चार्टर एक्ट 1813, मोनोपोली जो थी वो थोड़ी सी ब्रेक हुई। बिजनेस इंटरेस्ट थे इंग्लैंड में जिन्होंने बोला कि ना द मोनोपोली ओवर ट्रेड इन इंडिया ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी का है, वो थोड़ा सा रेस्ट्रिक्ट करो। सो द एक्ट टर्मिनेटेड द ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनीज मोनोपोली ओवर ट्रेड इन इंडिया, allowing for competition in the Indian market। However, the company still retained its monopoly over trade with China। China से पूरा monopoly रहा, and the tea trade, tea पे तब भी रहा। This is the most important thing which you need to remember, है ना। The act further expanded the power of board of control का पावर को और भी expand कर दिया था। And promotion of literature, learning and science, a sum of 1 lakh rupees was to be allocated annually for the promotion, revival and encouragement of literature, learning and science among the native population of India। This provision highlighted the responsibility of state in supporting education। बहुत important है ये, याद रखना बिल्कुल ही एकदम ही, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। परमिशन फॉर क्रिश्चियन मिशनरीज वर परमिटेड टू कम टू इंडिया एंड प्रीच देयर रिलीजन, फैसिलिटेटिंग द स्प्रेड ऑफ क्रिश्चियनिटी। देन चार्टर एक्ट ऑफ 1833 इंपॉर्टेंट है, देख लो। लीगलाइज ब्रिटिश कॉलोनाइजेशन इन इंडिया, ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी का ट्रेड टर्म 20 years रेन्यू हो गया। गवर्नर जनरल ऑफ बंगाल वाज मेड गवर्नर जनरल ऑफ इंडिया। क्रिएटेड फोर्ट विलियम एंड आगरा प्रेसिडेंसीज। एबॉलिश्ड कमर्शियल प्रिविलेजेस ऑफ ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी, और भी प्रिविलेजेस थे उनको और कम कर दिया। बोर्ड ऑफ कंट्रोल को रिप्लेस कर दिया बाय मिनिस्टर ऑफ इंडियन अफेयर्स। और मतलब जो ब्रिटिशर थे ना डायरेक्ट कंट्रोल बढ़ाते जा रहे थे, दैट्स इट। फाइनेंशियल रिसोर्सेज वर सेंट्रलाइज्ड एंड लॉ कमीशन वाज अपॉइंटेड। उसके बाद जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है वो इंडियन काउंसिल एक्ट ऑफ 1909 जिसको पार्लियामेंटो रिफॉर्म्स भी बोलते हैं। ठीक है, the number of members in the Central Legislative Council was increased from 16 to 60। ठीक है, एक्सपेंशन हो गया। The number of members in the Provincial Legislative Council was not uniform। यूनिफॉर्म नहीं था, डिफरेंट प्रोविंसेस में अलग अलग था। सत्येंद्र प्रसाद सिन्हा became the first Indian to join the Viceroy's Executive Council। इसके अलावा सेपरेट इलेक्टोरेट एज पर द डिमांड ऑफ द मुस्लिम लीग, मुस्लिम मेंबर्स वर टू बी इलेक्टेड बाय ओनली मुस्लिम। ये जहर शुरू हो गया था 1906 में। मुस्लिम लीग वाज एस्टेब्लिश्ड, डिवाइड एंड रूल पॉलिसी, यहीं से एवरीथिंग स्टार्टेड, जो कल्मिनेटेड टू पाकिस्तान फॉर्मेशन, डिमांड ऑफ पाकिस्तान, है ना। द प्लेस इज कॉल्ड एज निशान ए पाकिस्तान, फ्रॉम वेयर द प्रोक्लेमेशन ऑफ पाकिस्तान वाज डन। ओके, so this you need to remember। The act also provided for separate representation of presidential corporations, chamber of commerce, universities and zamindars। अब आ जाओ गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट 1919, जिसको बोलते हैं मोंटेगू चेम्सफोर्ड रिफॉर्म्स. इट इंट्रोड्यूस्ड पब्लिक सर्विस कमीशन, इंट्रोड्यूस्ड डायरकी, expanded participation of Indians in the government. Government subjects were divided into reserved and transferred subject. ठीक है, रिजर्व में सारे इंपॉर्टेंट रख लिए थे, ट्रांसफर में कम इंपॉर्टेंट सब्जेक्ट्स थे. गेव वुमेन द राइट टू वोट, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट. एस्टेब्लिश्ड हाई कमिश्नर ऑफिस फॉर इंडिया इन लंदन, एंड दे एस्टेब्लिश्ड चैम्बर्स ऑफ प्रिंसेस विद 120 मेंबर्स. बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्ट है ये, पूछा गया बहुत सारे एग्जाम में. Then Government of India Act 1935, most important. इसके बहुत सारे, the most of the provision never came into force. Divided parts between center and state, 3 list, federal, provincial and concurrent list. Established All India Federation, Reserve Bank of India, Provincial and Joint Public Service Commission. Abolished diarchy in provinces, diarchy provinces में बना दी, and introduced provincial autonomy. Autonomy आ गई. Diarchy अब जो है सेंटर पे आ गई थी, यहाँ पे अबॉलिश हो गई थी. अबॉलिश डायरकी इन प्रोविंसेस. इंट्रोड्यूस्ड बाई कैमरलिज्म इन 6 प्रोविंसेस. आप देखते हो ना, लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली एंड लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल होते हैं, वो इस्टेब्लिश हुआ था. सेपरेट इलेक्टोरेट्स वर एक्सटेंडेड टू डिप्रेस्ड क्लासेस, विमेन एंड लेबरर्स. अबॉलिश्ड काउंसिल ऑफ इंडिया क्रिएटेड बाय 1858 एक्ट. दिस यू नीड टू रिमेंबर. इंडियन मूवमेंट्स देख लेते हैं. गांधीयन मूवमेंट्स आर वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. क्वेश्चंस आते रहते हैं, क्वेश्चंस विल कम. सो एवरीथिंग हैपेंड ना. गांधी जी बिकेम महात्मा गांधी इन साउथ अफ्रीका. 1893 से 1914 का पीरियड था. ही वॉज देयर, ही फॉट फॉर द राइट्स ऑफ द अफ्रीकन्स, एंड ही ऑल्सो एस्टेब्लिश्ड टॉल्स्टॉय फॉर्म. And the satyagraha was tested in the Africa itself. Okay, and he believed in non-violence. Non-violence. The biggest contribution of Mahatma Gandhi is that he organized the movement to the even the lowest rungs of the populations, you know, and made gave a nationwide platform to the Indian national struggle, which you need to remember. Okay, Gandhi ji returned to India in January 1915, and he was highly inspired from the vision of Gopal Krishna Gokhale. On the advice of Gopal Krishna Gokhale, he travelled to the villages and to the nooks and the corners of India. In February 1916, he made his first major public appearance at the inauguration of BHU, Banaras Hindu University, and that speech is very, very famous. And that ignited or revealed the Indian nationalism was an elite phenomena until now, and we need to expand the Indian nationalism to the lowest rungs as well. Okay, this was what Gandhiji said. The first satyagraha which was launched under Gandhiji was Champaran Satyagraha in 1917, and a first attempt to mobilize the Indian masses on the request of Rajkumar Shukla. This Gandhian movement was the first civil disobedience in India. The flight of indigo peasants of Champaran, the Teen Kathiya system, where peasants were forced to grow indigo on 3/20 part of their total land, and not only total land, most fertile lands. Okay, and they were subjected to a lot of pressures, abhorrent practices, and their flight was such, they were struggling, that Rajkumar Shukla has to urge the Mahatma Gandhi to step in, and then he launched the civil disobedience movement. And the first civil disobedience, not civil disobedience movement, but if the question comes, the first civil disobedience done by Gandhiji was during Champaran struggle. The government appointed a committee to go into the matter and nominated Gandhiji as member. The Teen Kathiya system was abolished, and in a compromise settlement, only 25% of the money taken by peasants was compensated. Participants were Dr. Rajendra Prasad, the first president of India, Narhari Parikh, and J.B. Kripalani. He went on to become the INC president for I think 5 to 6 years. I think when India became independent, JB Kripalani was the Indian National Congress president. Please do check it. Then Ahmedabad mill strike in 1918 after Champaran. The disagreement between the textile worker and the mill owners arose in March 1918 regarding the end of the play bonus. Okay, don't need to go into these 50%, 75% facts. Okay, Gandhiji intervened at the request of Anusuya Sarabhai and undertook a fast unto death. So first fast unto death was Ahmedabad strike. Okay, this was the first movement where fasting as a means of self-suffering to create moral pressure was used by Gandhiji as a political weapon in India. Then happened the Kheda Satyagraha. Due to the failure of monsoon, the peasants of the Kheda district were in distress. In 1918, they mobilized themselves, demanding revenue relief from the government due to the crop failure and rise in price. Okay, Kheda Satyagraha was the first non-cooperation by Gandhiji in the Indian national movement. याद रखना बिल्कुल है ना. Okay, participants were Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Narhari Parikh and Indulal Yagnik. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel is the most important name here. And then there was a Satyagraha against the Rowlatt Act, which is also known as Kala Kanun. In 1917, a sedition committee was formed under Justice Sidney Rowlatt to curb revolutionary activities and investigate the seditious conspiracies. It recommended the Rowlatt Act, Anarchic and Revolutionary Offences Act of 1919. ये है पूरा नाम. To limit the liberty of the people, passed by the Imperial Legislative Council. Gandhiji launched the Satyagraha against the Rowlatt Act. क्यों किया था? क्योंकि the political and revolutionary activists can be tried without judicial proceedings or even imprisonment without trial for 2 years. This is curbing the right, having no fundamental right whatsoever. Gandhiji called it Black Act and launched the Satyagraha against the act. It involved fasting, praying, disobeying laws, and risking arrest and imprisonment. The Satyagraha brought Gandhiji to the center of the Indian national movement. He organized Satyagraha Sabha, his own organization, to carry out the movement. However, due to the violence in some parts of India, Gandhiji had to call off the Satyagraha. Gandhiji's ability to connect with the masses was demonstrated during the Satyagraha. Gandhian ideology and methods for the freedom struggle, non-violence and Satyagraha were introduced to the Indian masses. Then comes the non-cooperation movement 1921 to 1922, first nationwide movement आप मान लो ये है ना. The horrific massacre at Jallianwala Bagh took place in the backdrop of protest against the Rowlatt Act. As a result, Mahatma Gandhi launched the non-cooperation movement in 1920. एक स्पेशल सेशन हुआ इन कलकत्ता एंड रिजॉल्व टू एक्सेप्ट इट ना. कांग्रेस ने एक सेशन किया एंड गांधी जी प्रपोजल ऑफ नॉन कॉपरेशन को माना with the British government until Khilafat and Punjab grievances were addressed and self government was established. बहुत सारी चीज़ों को जोड़ लिया था, ठीक है. जैसे खिलाफत रॉन्ग, रिलीजियस थिंग्स वर अटैच्ड, ये ब्लंडर था बाय महात्मा गांधी. पंजाब ग्रीवेंसेस, जलियांवाला बाग, सेल्फ गवर्नमेंट एक्सेट्रा सबको मर्ज कर दिया, ऑल द डिमांड्स. The Gandhian movement was merged with Khilafat movement, which demanded that the Turkish Sultan or Khalifa retain control over the Muslim sacred places in the erstwhile Ottoman Empire. Okay, this has to be one of the blunders by Mahatma Gandhi. Methods क्या थे? Non-cooperation movement included the boycott of schools, colleges, courts, government offices, legislatures, and foreign goods at the return of the government conferred titles and the return of जो टाइटल्स दिए जाते थे ना, राय बहादुर एंड व्हाट नॉट वर प्रोवाइडेड एंड अवार्ड्स आल्सो, सब रिटर्न कर दो. महात्मा गांधी विड्रू द नॉन कॉपरेशन मूवमेंट क्योंकि चौरी चौरा इंसिडेंट्स हुआ, वायलेंट इंसिडेंट्स. 23 पुलिस ऑफिसर्स वर किल्ड. आफ्टर द विड्रॉल ही फोकस्ड ऑन कंस्ट्रक्टिव प्रोग्राम ऑफ सोशल रिफॉर्म्स. और यहाँ पे यूथ्स वर सो मच फ्रस्ट्रेटेड, देयर एंगर वाज देयर एंड दैट्स व्हाई in this period 1920 to 1930 there were establishment of many revolutionary organizations like Hindustan Republican Association and many of the stalwarts emerged during that period. and also Swaraj Party was established in Gaya session of Congress under Chittaranjan Das. Then the second important Gandhian movement was civil disobedience movement 1930 to 34. After the non-cooperation movement, the civil disobedience movement, also known as Salt Satyagraha, is regarded as the second major mass movement organized by Gandhi ji. Yeah, Gandhi ji declared at Calcutta Congress in 1928 that the British must grant India dominion status. ठीक है, or the country would erupt in revolution for complete independence. The British paid no attention, कोई attention दिया ही नहीं, बोलते रहो. As a result, Indian National Congress in Lahore session 1929 demanded पूर्ण स्वराज, पहली बार डिमांड हुआ था यहाँ पे, and decided to celebrate 26th January as Independence Day. इसको इंडिपेंडेंस डे के तौर पर मनाने का यहीं से शुरू हुआ, एंड दैट्स व्हाई रिपब्लिक डे 26 जनवरी को मनाया जाता है. गांधी जी अनाउंस दी दांडी मार्च अगेंस्ट दी अनजस्ट टैक्स ऑन सॉल्ट एज पार्ट ऑफ द मूवमेंट. सॉल्ट क्या था? सॉल्ट पे टैक्स सबसे अनजस्ट था. ऐसी कमोडिटी पे हाउ कैन यू हैव सच टैक्सेशन, एंड इट वाज इंडिस्पेंसेबल एट एवरी होम. तो एक इतना अच्छा सिंबल वाज दैट कैन यूनाइट दी ऑल इंडिया, है ना. He violated the salt regulation, thereby launching the civil disobedience movement. जब लॉ को ब्रेक करते हैं तो ये सिविल डिसोबीडियंस होता है. Induced by Gandhi's extraordinary endeavors at Dandi, defiance of salt law spread throughout the country. ये हॉल्ट हो गया था फॉर अ पीरियड आफ्टर द गांधी इरविन पैक्ट. थोड़े दिन के लिए गांधी इरविन पैक्ट के कारण इट वाज हॉल्टेड. When the movement was resumed after the failure of second round table conference, गोलमेज सम्मेलन जिसको बोलते हैं, it began to dwindle towards the end of 1932. It was officially withdrawn in May 1934. बाद में उतना चल नहीं पाया. जो पेस था that was then only. बहुत सारे जो ब्रिटिशर्स ने कांग्रेस लीडर्स को जेल में डाल दिया था, तो इट हैज टू डाई डाउन. द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट मूवमेंट ऑफ गांधी जी इज क्विट इंडिया मूवमेंट. ठीक है, एंड क्विट इंडिया मूवमेंट में गांधी जी लीडर बनाए गए, but तुरंत he was in jail. Every leader was in jail. It was a completely spontaneous movement. Also became a bit violent. Warner Sena was established. Young leaders took the movement, and they were organizing like in an innovative manner. ठीक है, underground जाके and underground activities. There are also parallel governments which were established, like बलिया में by Chittu Pandey released many Congress leaders. तामुल्क में by सतीश चंद्र and Samanta. इसमें जातीय सरकार was established, undertook cyclone relief work, sanctioned grants to school. The rich supplied paddy to the poor, organized Vidyut Vahinis, electricity units. Then Satara में by Y.B. Chauhan and Nana Patel, they named it as a Parti Sarkar, parallel government, organized village libraries and Nyay Dan Mandals, carried out prohibition campaigns, organized Gandhi marriages following Gandhian principle without rituals. And there were women leaders in movement like Usha Mehta. Radio इन्होंने ही संभाला था. She actively supported the movement and was an important member of a small group which ran the Congress radio. ठीक है. Sumati Morarji, she helped Achyut Patavardhan in his underground activities. She later became India's leading woman industrialist. Then Matangi Hazara, she was a 73-year-old peasant widow in Tamulk, was killed in violence on September 29, 1942. When the Sutahata police station was captured, Matangi kept the national flag, unfurling even after being shot. Underground activities were taken by leaders that included Ram Manohar Lohia, Jayaprakash Narayan, Aruna Asaf Ali, Biju Patnaik, Suchita Kripalani, and many other leaders. Warner Sena also included Mrs. Indira Gandhi as well. But they were the prominent leaders: Ram Manohar Lohia, Jayaprakash Narayan, Aruna Asaf Ali, and Biju Patnaik. Then we will see the important revolutionary movements. तो पहला revolutionary case हुआ था, the first case happened चापेकर brothers का 1897 में. The first political assassination of a British officer in India post 1857 revolt हुआ था by the Chapekar brothers. Brothers were Damodar Balakrishnan and Vasudev Chapekar, shot W.C. Rent, an ICS chairman of the Special Plague Committee in 1897. ठीक है. The brothers were against the atrocities committed by British authorities under Rand during the plague epidemic in Pune. इसके खिलाफ इन्होंने किया था. All three brothers were hanged for the assassination. Then Alipur bomb conspiracy case. इसके बीच में there were association which were formed like Anushilyan Samiti, Yugantar, Mitra Mela by Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, 1899. Because Bengal was partitioned by Curzon. Okay. So Curzon partitioned, तो उसके बाद बहुत सारे revolutionary organization बने थे. तो अलीपुर कॉन्स्पिरेसी केस जो है 1908 में it happened, also called as मुरारी पुकुर conspiracy or Maniktola bomb conspiracy. If any of this name is also given, then it is Alipur bomb conspiracy case. You don't need to confuse. Okay. Douglas Kingsford was an unpopular British chief magistrate who was the target of the bomb thrown at Muzaffarpur, northern Bihar. लेकिन उनको लगा नहीं. The carriage at which the bomb was targeted contained 2 English ladies, not Kingsford. The 2 women died in the attack. जो रिवोल्यूशनरी ने बॉम्ब थ्रू किया था, देवर प्रफुल्ल चंद्र चाकी एंड खुदीराम बोस. खुदीराम बोस was very very young, and प्रफुल्ल चंद्र चाकी committed suicide, and खुदीराम बोस was hanged. He was only barely 18 years old. The other people who were tried in the case was Aurobindo Ghosh and his brother Barin Ghosh, Kanailal Dutt, Satyendra Bose, and more than 30 others. Aurobindo Ghosh, after this, came out of revolutionary activities, and he established a spiritual organization in Pondicherry. Okay. Aurobindo Ghosh was acquitted due to lack of evidence, and others served varying life terms in prison. Then there was Curzon Vile assassination in 1909. The Indian House was an organization. बाहर ना, country के बाहर भी there were associations, revolutionary associations which were formed. क्योंकि यहाँ पे तो regulations था काफ़ी. Lala Hardayal went on to make in 1903 the Ghadar Party. India House was established in London, mainly engaging Indian students in UK as its participant. पढ़ने जाते थे, उनको ही participant बनाया था. The patron of this organization included Shyamji Krishna Verma, very important, and Bhikaji Kama. India House became the center of revolutionary activities for Indian independence outside India. The organization was liquidated after the assassination of an army officer, Curzon Vile, by its member Madan Lal Dhingra in 1909. Very important. फिर एक होता हावड़ा गैंग केस 1910 में, also known as हावड़ा शिवपुर conspiracy case. 47 revolutionary associated with the Anushilyan Samiti were arrested and tried for the murder of Inspector Shamsul Alam. Alam was investigating the revolutionary activities of Samiti and was trying to link and consolidate the murders and robberies into a single case. ठीक है. The case brought to light the work of revolutionary Jatindranath Mukherjee. Despite attempts, the case could not establish the link, mainly due to the decentralized nature of the Anushilyan Samiti. Of all the accused, only Jatindranath Mukherjee and Narendranath Bhattacharya were sentenced to 1 year imprisonment. उसके बाद होता है दिल्ली कॉन्स्पिरेसी केस. बॉम्ब फेंका जाता है लॉर्ड हेडिंग पे, एलिफेंट पे जा रहे थे. लॉर्ड हेडिंग sustained injuries, and one of the person who was accompanying got killed. ठीक है. The revolutionaries were led by Ras Bihari Bose, not Ghosh. Bose and Ghosh are different. A homemade bomb was thrown into the viceroy's howdah or elephant carriage during a ceremonial procession in Delhi. क्योंकि ट्रांसफर कर दिया था कैपिटल फ्रॉम कैलकाटा टू दिल्ली in 1911. Attendant killed and Harding was injured. Then काकोरी कॉन्स्पिरेसी केस 1925. इसको काकोरी ट्रेन एक्शन डे अब बोला जाता है. ओके. Near Kakori in Uttar Pradesh, the attack was led by the youth of Hindustan Republican Association, later renamed as Hindustan Socialist Republican Association, including Ram Prasad Bismil, Ashfaq Khan, Chandrasekhar Azad, Rajendra Lahiri, Thakur Roshan Singh, and others. It was believed that the train carried money bags belonging to the British government. One person was killed during the Kakori train action. The revolutionaries were arrested and tried in court. Bismil Khan, Lahiri, and Roshan Singh were sentenced to death. फिर होता है चिटागोंग आर्मरी रेड लेड बाय मास्टर दा सूर्य सेन. दिस वाज एन अटेम्प्ट बाय रिवोल्यूशनरीज to raid the police armory and the auxiliary force armory from Chittagong. Chittagong of Bangladesh में है. They were led by Surya Sen, Master Da, popularly known as. Others involved were Ganesh Ghosh, Loknath Bal, है ना, प्रीति लता वाडेदार, कल्पना दत्त, अंबिका चक्रवर्ती, सुबोध रॉय. Involvement of lots of women. The raiders were not able to locate any arms but were able to cut telephone and telegraph wire. Sen hosted the Indian flag at the police armory. Many of the revolutionary involved escaped, but some were caught and tried. और बहुत ज़्यादा इनके साथ थर्ड डिग्री हुआ था मास्टर दा के साथ, सूर्य सेन के साथ, बर्बरता by the Britishers. And then Central Assembly bomb case. You all know the name of Shahid-e-Azam Bhagat Singh because of this Central Assembly bomb case 1929 and Lahore conspiracy case 1931. Revolutionary Shahid-e-Azam Bhagat Singh and Batukeshwar Dutt sought to draw attention to their revolution by throwing a harmless bomb along with leaflets in the assembly house. Pamphlets chode the at Delhi. They did not try to even escape. They were arrested and jailed for the act. Their intention was not to hurt everyone, but to popularize their revolutionary activities and philosophy. Bhagat Singh was later on re-arrested in connection with the murder of a British police officer, J.P. Saunders. This case was called the Lahore conspiracy case, and in this he was hanged, not due to that harmless bomb thrown. Saunders was killed mistakenly as the real target was another police officer named James Scott, who was responsible for the lathi charge that killed Lala Lajpat Rai in the anti-Simon Commission struggle. Simon Commission wanted to have some constitutional reform and there were no Indians, all white commission. So there were Simon Commission go back slogan and Lala Lajpat Rai was hit badly by the lathis and he died, and that was avenged by Shahid-e-Azam Bhagat Singh. Okay. The others involved in his killing were Sukhdev, Rajguru and Chandrasekhar Azad. Chandrasekhar Azad never came, were never caught by Britisher. उन्होंने अपने आप को ही गोली मार ली थी. इन दी इलाहाबाद में एक पार्क है, चंद्रशेखर आज़ाद ने वहीं पे अपने आप को ही गोली मार ली थी. While in prison, Bhagat Singh, Shahid-e-Azam Bhagat Singh, Rajguru and Sukhdev along with other political prisoners went on to hunger strike to demand better condition of prisoners in the jail. बहुत लंबा hunger strike था. ठीक है, मार्च 1931 यहाँ पे शहीद दिवस भी बोलते हैं. दैट वाज अ वेरी अनफॉर्चुनेट इवेंट. कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट कांग्रेस सेशन है, थोड़ा फटाफट देख लेते हैं. 1885 में देखिए पहला जो द प्रेसिडेंट वाज वोमेश चंद्र बैनर्जी, फर्स्ट सेशन हुआ था. फिर 1886 में दादा भाई नौरोजी बने. फर्स्ट मुस्लिम वाज सैयद बदरुद्दीन तैयबजी टू बिकम द इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस प्रेसिडेंट. एंड फर्स्ट ब्रिटिशर्स वर जॉर्ज यूले 1888 में बने थे. ओके, दादा भाई नौरोजी बाद में भी बनते हैं. सुरेंद्रनाथ बनर्जी बिकेम इन 1895. 1896 कलकत्ता में रहमतुल्लाह एम सयानी was president. National song Vande Mataram was sung for the first time. It was taken from Anand Math, book by Bankim Chand Chattopadhyay. Okay, you need to remember this. 1905 Banaras session headed by Gopal Krishna Gokhale expressed resentment against the partition of Bengal. And 1906 session of Calcutta, Dadabhai Naoroji was president. The word Swaraj was mentioned for the first time. 1907 Surat, where moderate and extremist they were bifurcated during the presidency of Ras Bihari Ghosh. ठीक है, घोष एंड बोस इसलिए बोला था to remember. Ghosh is a moderate person. Bose is a revolutionary. 1908 Madras, Ras Bihari Ghosh. Previous session continued. इतना important है नहीं. Madan Mohan Malviya also became president. You need to remember this. 1911 Calcutta session. Bishan Narayan Dhar was there. Jan Gan Man sung for the first time. That's why it's important. In 1916 Lucknow, the president was Ambika Charan Majumdar, AC Majumdar. Lucknow pact हुआ था. Joint session with the Muslim League. Okay. 1917 Calcutta, first women president, not first Indian women president. Annie Besant became. ठीक है. 1919 Motilal Nehru became. Jallianwala Bagh massacre strongly condemned. 1922 Gaya, C.R. Das the Swaraj Party will be formed. And 1925 Kanpur session, Sarojini Naidu first Indian women president. इसके अलावा this is very important. Only session where Gandhi ji became president was 1924 Belgaum session. Okay, this you need to remember. 1928 Calcutta, Motilal Nehru was president. All India Youth Congress was formed. Main leaders were Jawaharlal Nehru and Bose, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. 1929 Lahore session presided by Jawaharlal Nehru, Revolution for Poon Swaraj in Lahore, and 26 January was declared to be observed as Independence Day. 1931 Karachi session, Vallabhbhai Patel, resolution on fundamental rights and national economic progress. Gandhi Irwin Pact endorsed. Gandhi nominated to represent INC in the second roundtable conference. Then 1937 now Lucknow, Nehru ji became president. Faizpur session, Nehru ji became president. 1934 में बॉम्बे में डॉक्टर राजेंद्र प्रसाद also became president. 1936 Faizpur is important because first rural session, first session to be held in village was this Faizpur session. 1938 is very very important because the stalwart leader Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose became president of Indian National Congress during Haripura session, and National Planning Committee was set up under Jawaharlal Nehru. Tripuri, Subhash Chandra Bose became again president, but there was a Tripuri crisis. Gandhi didn't wanted him to become president. He nominated a leader, Pattabhai Sitaramaiah, and said, if he gets defeated, I will be defeated. But still, that was the popularity of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, that he defeated Pattabhai Sitaramaiah and became the president of Indian National Congress. But other leaders who were very, very a big follower of Mahatma Gandhi, they did not provide the necessary support to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, and Bose was never ever wanted to become a rubber stamp. He was never a person who was attached to a post. He just resigned it simply. Okay, so this you need to remember. देखिए आचार्य कृपलानी, लास्ट सेशन बिफोर इंडिपेंडेंस. ठीक है, बाकी के सेशन इज नॉट इम्पॉर्टेंट. थोड़े से कमिटीज एंड कमीशन है, थोड़े याद कर लेना. ये टेबल आई विल अपलोड दिस, लिंक विल बी पुट इन द डिस्क्रिप्शन. फटफट से देख लेना, फटाफट से. ठीक है, इसमें से इंपॉर्टेंट सोशियो रिलीजियस रिफॉर्म मूवमेंट्स मैं डिस्कस कर लेता हूँ. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट मूवमेंट इज 1809 से 1831 यंग बंगाल मूवमेंट. This was started by Henry Vivian D'Orazio. They used to sing, they used to dance, they used to through these activities they were challenging all the orthodoxy which was present. And 1815 Atmiya Sabha started by Rajaram Mohan Roy to campaign against caste rigidity, idolatry, meaningless rituals, and he went on to go against the sati as well, which was abolished in 1829. Brahmo Samaj was established in 1828 to purify Hinduism and to preach monotheism, a god may believe. धर्म सभा was established by राधाकांत देव, और ये बिल्कुल ही अपोज करते थे राजाराम मोहन राय को. तत्वबोधिनी सभा was established by Devendranath Tagore and they wanted to disseminate the knowledge of Upanishad. ठीक है, प्रिंटिंग प्रेस भी था इनका. Nirankaris was a kind of a social reform movement in the Sikhs. Okay, Dayal Das, Darbara Singh, and Ratan Chand started it. They aimed at refocusing Sikhs on the Adi Granth. Paramhans Mandali is very important. 1849 in Bombay, Dadoba Pandurang started it. The founder of this Mandali believed in one god. At their meeting, food cooked by lower caste people was taken by the members. ज़्यादातर यही होगा, है ना, women education caste यही होता मेन. Brahmo Samaj of India was established by Keshav Chandra Sen. Pratna Samaj, Atmaram Pandurang. The Pratna Samaj had as its prominent leaders में ये भी थे, M.G. Ranade, आंजी भंडारकर, N.G. चंद्राकर. केशव चंद्र भी एसोसिएटेड थे इससे. इंडियन रिफॉर्म एसोसिएशन रिलेटेड टू सिविल मैरिज एक्ट, ये एस्टेब्लिश किया था बाय द केशव चंद्र सेन. देन आर्य समाज स्टार्टेड बाय स्वामी दयानंद सरस्वती. ही वाज द फर्स्ट हु यूज्ड स्वराज एज वर्ड. ठीक है, दिस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्ट. दयानंद व्यूज वर पब्लिश्ड इन हिज फेमस बुक सत्यार्थ प्रकाश. Dayanand's vision of India included a classless and casteless society, and he gave the slogan of "Go back to Vedas." दयानंद सब्सक्राइब टू द वैदिक नोशन ऑफ चतुर्वर्णा सिस्टम, ये नहीं कि बर्थ से ही आपको कोई कास्ट मिल जाती है, ठीक है. Intercaste marriages and widow marriages were also encouraged, equal status to women. Samaj also helped the people in crisis like flood, famines and earthquakes, ठीक है. एंड डीएवी भी बने, यहाँ पे इंग्लिश एजुकेशन को भी मर्ज किया गया. ही एक्सेप्टेड मॉडर्निटी एंड डिस्प्लेड अ पेट्रियोटिक एटीट्यूड, ठीक है. Swami Sardhanand was also associated. Lala Lajpat Rai was also associated. Theosophical Society 1875 में न्यूयॉर्क में एस्टेब्लिश हुई थी. इट वॉज एस्टेब्लिश्ड बाय मैडम ब्लवात्स्की एंड कॉलोनल एच.एस. ऑलकॉट. यहाँ पे हम लोग क्यों नाम जानते हैं? एनी बेसेंट के कारण, ठीक है. बट शी डिडंट एस्टेब्लिश इट. इट एम्ड एट द रिवाइवल ऑफ हिंदुइज्म, जोरास्ट्रियनिज्म एंड बुद्धिज्म. साधारण ब्रह्मो समाज, क्यों ब्रह्मो समाज वॉज गेटिंग बाइफर्केटेड, तो साधारण ब्रह्मो समाज जो बना, दैट वाज स्टार्टेड बाय आनंद मोहन बोस. सेवा सदन was started in 1885 by B.M. Malabari. The organization specialized in taking care of women who were exploited and then discarded by society, ठीक है. And then there was Mohammedan Educational Conference 1886 started in Aligarh by Sayyid अहमद खान. फिर बनती है ये AMU जो बाद में जानी जाती यूनिवर्सिटी, एंड ही वाज अ फॉरवर्ड लुकिंग पर्सन, बट लेटर ऑन ही आल्सो बिकेम ऑर्थोडॉक्स. दैट्स एन अनदर स्टोरी, बट ही वांटेड टू हैव the orthodoxy removed from Muslims, and he wanted to have English education, अच्छी पढ़ाई हो, अच्छी तालीम हो. इसके लिए इन्होंने काफ़ी काम किया है, ठीक है. इन 1887 बॉम्बे में इंडियन नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस या नेशनल सोशल कॉन्फ्रेंस बनी थी. ये आप समझ लो कि सोशल रिफॉर्म आर्म टाइप थी इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस की, स्टार्टेड बाय MG रानाडे एंड रघुनाथ राव. इनका सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्ट है, इट लॉन्च द प्लेज मूवमेंट टू इंस्पायर पीपल टू टेक अ प्लेज अगेंस्ट चाइल्ड मैरिज, ओके. एंड देन रामकृष्ण मिशन 1897 बेलूर, ठीक है. स्वामी विवेकानंद, बहुत सारे काम. सर्विस टू man is service to God. The philosophies of Upanishad were popularized against this rigidity of caste system, ignited the nationalism, went on to give a very, very inspiring speech in Chicago in World Religion Parliament, and there are endless contribution of Swami Vivekananda, a very stalwart. Then in 1905, Servants of Indian Society started by Gopal Krishna Gokhale to train national missionary for the service of India, to promote by all constitutional means the true interest of India. MC Setalwad, first Attorney General जो बने इंडिया के. BN Rao and Aladi Krishna Swamy Iyer were distinguished member. याद करो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में ड्राफ्टिंग कमिटी, देखो कौन कौन मेंबर थे. Social Service League 1911 started by Narayan Malhar Joshi to secure for the masses better and reasonable condition of life and work. They organized many school, libraries, okay. NM Joshi also founded All India Trade Union Congress in 1920. Lala Lajpat Rai was the first president, ठीक है. याद रखें, एक अकाली मूवमेंट भी याद रखो, कैंपेन टू ब्रिंग रिफॉर्म इन गुरुद्वारास. ये कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट वॉर्स एंड ट्रीटीज है, यहाँ से रिवाइज कर लेना, ठीक है. यहाँ से आपकी जो पुरानी जो है ना एंग्लो मैसूर वॉर वगैरह, ये ट्रीटीज़ कौन सी हुई थी, ये आप थोड़े रिवाइज कर लेना, ठीक है. और इम्पोर्टेंट ट्रीटीज़ भी दे दी, इम्पोर्टेंट बैटल्स भी दे दिए मैंने लिस्ट, ठीक है. बस इसको एक बार पढ़ लेना, पूरी लिस्ट है. और ये कांग्रेस से पहले के एसोसिएशन है जो पहले बने थे. सो ना द्वारका नाथ टैगोर, द फैमिली और रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर वॉज वेरी 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 एफ्लुएंट. तो उन्होंने पहले लैंड होल्डर सोसाइटी बनाई, फिर ब्रिटिश इंडिया सोसाइटी बनी. मद्रास नेटिव एसोसिएशन वाज फाउंड बाय CY मुदलियार, ओके. ईस्ट इंडिया एसोसिएशन बाय दादा भाई नौरोजी इन लंदन. पूना सार्वजनिक सभा बाय MG रानाडे. ये बहुत सारे एसोसिएशन बने जिनका फाइनल कल्मिनेशन था इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस. द इंडियन लीग बाय शिशिर कुमार घोष. इंडियन एसोसिएशन ऑफ कोलकाता, बहुत बड़ा एसोसिएशन था, बाय सुरेंद्रनाथ बनर्जी. He wrote a book known as A Nation in Making, and Anand Mohan Bose. Madras Mahajan Sabha was established by M. Virgavachari, G. Subramaniam Iyer, and P. Anand Charlu. And Bombay Presidency Association by Badruddin Tayyab, Firoz Shah Mehta, and K.T. Tilak. 1857 के these are the important leaders. ये टेबल आप याद रख लेना, है ना, कहाँ कहाँ के कौन important leaders थे. एंड ये आई हैव वट एवर आई हैव एक्सप्लेन द रिवोल्यूशनरी मूवमेंट्स, ऊपर ये एक रिविजन का टेबल मैंने बना दिया है, एंड द इम्पोर्टेंट लीडर्स एसोसिएटेड विद देम। ठीक है, अब्रॉड और इंडिया, जैसे गदर पार्टी वॉज एस्टेब्लिश्ड इन सैन फ्रांसिस्को बाय लाला हरदयाल। ओके, इंडियन होम रूल सोसाइटी लंदन में श्यामाजी कृष्ण वर्मा। अभिनव भारत लंदन 1996 विक्रम दामोदर सावरकर। विनायक दामोदर सावरकर, विक्रम दामोदर सावरकर, बोलते हैं ना सावरकर ब्रदर्स। ठीक है, तो दिस यू नीड टू रिमेंबर। रिवोल्यूशनरी इवेंट्स हमने ऊपर डिस्कस किए थे सारे इंपॉर्टेंट वाले, और ये हमारे पीजन मूवमेंट्स इंपॉर्टेंट। जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट है वो इंडिगो रिवोल्ट है। इंडिगो रिवोल्ट ऑफ 1859 इंस्पायर्ड दी फॉर्मेशन ऑफ नील दर्पण बुक बाय दीन बंधु मित्रा। पूरा एकदम एक्सप्लॉयटेशन था इंडिगो का, तो आप देख ही रहे हो क्या हालत है। चंपारण भी स्ट्रगल इसी वजह से हुआ मैक्सिमम, वो पूरी सबसे फर्टाइल लैंड में यू हैव टू ग्रो एंड बहुत हाई रेवेन्यू आपको देना पड़ेगा। एंड देन द इम्पोर्टेंट वन इज पबना, ये हैपेंड इन बंगाल 1870। इसमें साबू पाल, खुदी मौला, ईश्वर रॉय वर द इम्पोर्टेंट लीडर्स। एंड देन डेक्कन रॉयट्स इन महाराष्ट्र 1875 में हुआ था। ठीक है, चंपारण तो भी डिस्कस। खेड़ा इन गुजरात, गांधी जी एंड वल्लभ भाई पटेल, याद रखना। वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इज बारदोली सत्याग्रह गुजरात, वेयर सरदार was the name of Vallabhbhai Patel was given as Sardar by the women's. ठीक है, तेलंगाना में मूवमेंट हुआ, आंध्र प्रदेश 1946। तेभागा मूवमेंट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, बंगाल 1946। ठीक है, आपको थोड़ा थोड़ा पता होना चाहिए। किसान सभा मूवमेंट भी आप देख सकते हो। यूपी किसान सभा 1918 में स्टैब्लिश हुई थी, इंद्र नारायण द्विवेदी एंड गौरी शंकर मिश्रा। एंड ऑल इंडिया किसान सभा लखनऊ में स्टैब्लिश हुई थी 1936 में बाय शाहजानंद सरस्वती। दीज आर सम इम्पॉर्टेंट ट्राइबल रिवोल्ट्स। ये इम्पॉर्टेंट विमेन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, इनके फाउंडर्स जैसे सखी समिति था शरण कुमारी के द्वारा, लेडी सोशल कॉन्फ्रेंस बाय रामाबाई पांडे, आर्य महिला समाज में पंडित रामाबाई सरस्वती, विमेंस इंडिया एसोसिएशन वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, एनी बेसेंट, मार्गरेट किजन्स। इसके कारण 1919 में विमेंस को वोटिंग राइट मिला। नेशनल काउंसिल ऑफ विमेन मेहरी बाई टाटा 1925 में। ऑल इंडिया विमेंस कॉन्फ्रेंस मार्गरेट कजन्स 1927 में स्टैब्लिश हुआ। सम ऑफ द इम्पोर्टेंट न्यूज़पेपर्स की लिस्ट मैंने दे दी है, जिसमें बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है मिरातुल अखबार बाय राजाराम मोहन राय, संवाद कौमुदी बाय राजाराम मोहन राय, राष्ट्र दफ्तर बाय दादा भाई नारोजी, हिंदू बाय जी सुब्रमण्यम अय्यर, अमृत बाजार पत्रिका शिशिर कुमार घोष, केसरी एंड महाराता बाय बाल गंगाधर तिलक, सुधारक बाय गोखले, हितावध बाय गोखले, हितेच्छु बाय गोखले। दीज आर वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। ठीक है, देन प्रबुद्ध भारत बाय स्वामी विवेकानंद एंड उद्बोधन अभी बाय स्वामी विवेकानंद। ओके, इंडियन ओपिनियन, नवजीवन, हरिजन, ये सब महात्मा गांधी। ओके, नवयुग बाय मुजफ्फर अहमद, यंग इंडिया बाय महात्मा गांधी, मूक नायक बाय डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर, बहिष्कृत भारत बाय डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर, न्यू इंडिया एंड कॉमनवेल्थ बाय एनी बेसेंट, अल बलग एंड अल हिलाल बाय मौलाना अबुल कलाम आजाद, वंदे मातरम बाय औरोबिंदो घोष, बॉम्बे क्रॉनिकल बाय फिरोज शाह मेहता, पंजाबी बाय लाला लाजपत राय, युगांतर बाय बरिंद्र कुमार घोष, इंडियन सोशियोलॉजिस्ट बाय श्यामजी कृष्ण वर्मा। ठीक है, ये तो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट हो गए। इसके अलावा स्वराज बाय सुभाष चंद्र बोस, लिबर्टी बाय सी आर दास, वैनगार्ड बाय एम एन रॉय, कांग्रेस सोशलिस्ट बाय राम मनोहर लोहिया। These are very very important. Apart from it, you need to understand the contribution of नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस। 1938 का आपको पता चला है ना, सेशंस हुए, त्रिपुरी क्राइसिस हुआ। आफ्टर दैट ही वेंट ऑन टू फॉर्म फॉरवर्ड ब्लॉक। फॉरवर्ड ब्लॉक वाज फर्स्ट फैक्शन विद इन इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस इटसेल्फ। फिर फॉरवर्ड ब्लॉक से ही वांटेड टू हैव अ काइंड ऑफ रिवॉल्यूशन। ही डिडंट बिलीव कि ऐसे अहिंसा से कैसे किसी भी देश को ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड फ्रीडम नहीं मिली है। ठीक है, सो वाई सडनली वी आर ट्राइंग सच थिंग एंड वी आर ट्राइंग फॉर 2 decades। कुछ हुआ नहीं। कांग्रेस इज मच इंटरेस्टेड टू फॉर्म the government. This was the thinking of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Then he went on to travel all across the world, so sharp, so intelligent. He changed his names and traveled across the seas, and then went on to even meet Hitler, eye to eye contact. Such was his confidence and aura. And then, or the prisoners of wars were, he requested to, and to release them and make a Indian National Army, Azad Hind Force. Okay, he did not founded this Indian National Army. Okay, but he was the one who made it big. Okay, and then the Indian National Army tried to organize an army, and women's were there. He was so progressive. Okay, there was a Rani Lakshmi Bai regiment in which Captain Lakshmi Sehgal was there. So he was very progressive. He was very egalitarian. He was very he respected every religion. That's why he gave no. He promoted this slogan Jai Hind, because it somehow united Hindu Muslims as well. And then his famous slogan, "Tum mujhe khoon do, main tumhe azadi dunga." And he tried his very very best, and he scared Britishers like anything, because later on the Viceroys and Governor General accepted that it was Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, because he was the one who tried to have a kind of like withdraw in the army itself. जब ये होगा तो how they will be able to have their Raj, the British Raj. He scared them like anything. Unfortunately, what happened to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose is still a mystery. And there are also other movements like Royal Indian Navy Mutiny, which you need to read a bit. So this is the quick recap. I hope this will be helpful for you. Thank you very much. Take care. Best wishes.